Well, hello you bearded bastards, and welcome back once again to Stetárgugash, Honeystoker, located at the foot of the eastern mountains, in a swampy area known as the Barricaded Murk, and at the bottom of a deep pit, dug by a group of dwarves known as the Keeper of Bees. A group of industrious, hard-working dwarves who run a robust beekeeping industry. Honey, mead, wax crafts, all is produced here at Fortress Honeystoker. It is the 23rd of Galena, 276, late summer, the 4th year that the dwarves have spent here since originally having their fortress funded by a secretive wild boar man known as Moses Stetárgugash. So secret is this wild boar man that the dwarves of Stetárgugash have never even seen him. Until that is, just days ago, when he and his companion paid a surprise visit to this quaint fortress, bearing gifts and well wishes no less. The gifts came in the form of a pair of artifacts, a ring and an armor stand, both created in mighty Waterkeeper, a dwarven fortress in the north. According to Moses, they were given to him to cover a past debt, but he was now gifting them upon these dwarves. A joyous day it was for the Keeper of Bees. And added to this joy was some surprising news. According to the boar man, the roads were no longer safe to travel, for the forces of Goblins were now running rampant across the land, and getting to Stetárgugash was becoming difficult. With such considerations in mind, Moses officially released the Keeper of Bees from his service. The beekeeping dwarves could now live their lives however they wanted. The fortress was free, and whatever future goal they wished to pursue could be theirs. And so celebrations commenced, with the highest praises being given to Moses, the most thoughtful and generous benefactor a dwarf has ever known. Or so it would seem, anyways. The next morning, the Keeper of Bees bade farewell to Moses, and once again thanked him profusely for all he's done for this small fortress. But there was still one gift left unrevealed to the dwarves. A dark gift. It sat now, shrouded in shadows, in a tomb of murky water, down at the bottom of the fort's well. That gift was a goblin. A goblin whose blood now held a foul taint. The curse of the vampire. And the well's polluted waters would now carry over to the dwarves of Stetárgugash. Soon, if Moses' schemings went as planned, these dwarves would all be cursed. Cursed by the blood of a vampire. And with our intro out of the way, I'm actually going to pause the game, because there's actually a lot going on in the fortress and we have to get things sorted out a bit, and I will have to explain a couple more things too. Now then, Stetárgugash, Honeystoker. Now outside of the whole role-playing thing I've been doing, it is my goal with this fortress to make it a vampire fortress. This is something I've heard about in the past, but really I don't think I've ever seen it done. Not successfully anyways, so I wanted to take my own stab at it. And back when we were in Waterkeeper, we had that vampire pop up, so everything between then and now has just been a lead up to this right here, a vampire fortress, or rather an attempt at a vampire fortress. I don't know how this is going to go, but I really want to take a stab at it. Now as far as these dwarves are concerned, they do not know about the vampire goblin that lurks in the bottom of their well right now, and so he's just kind of chilling out down there right now, which is cool. We're not going to do anything with him for a while. I kind of really want to get in there and start attempting to make a vampire fortress straight off the bat, but that would be kind of foolish. We have to make sure things are settled here in the fort first. We do have a couple of miserable dwarves out there already, and I suspect that they're migrants from Waterkeeper. In Waterkeeper, we were exiling angry dwarves as kind of a lazy way to take care of their moods, and unfortunately it looks like it turned around and bit us in the behind. But no matter, we've got it under control, I think. Oh, and by the way, I'm going to do a whole bunch of explaining here, so get comfy. I've already gone through and sorted out all the dwarves' labors. We have some miners, a wax worker, there are a couple of carpenters, mechanics, weaponsmiths, armorers, that sort of stuff. All fairly standard as far as dwarven labors go, but one of the things I read recently, a way to manage dwarven stress, is to make sure dwarves are creating things. Dwarves like to be creative, whether it's by cooking meals, brewing drinks, engraving walls, making crafts. So I made sure every dwarf in the fortress has some sort of a creative labor enabled. And for the positions that aren't inherently creative, like the manager or the chief medical dwarf, well, I'm having them engrave walls as well. And I'm gonna have an area set up on the side somewhere where they can just kind of go to town, where they can head in there and just start engraving to their heart's content. I don't know how that's gonna work, but hey, maybe we'll learn something. Or maybe the fortress will just crumble and burn in the first episode. It's a learning process. Now, our current population is 29 dwarves, and I actually went in and changed our population cap to 30 dwarves. So hopefully we're not going to get much more than this. Maybe one more stray migrant. I'm hoping to keep the population pretty low, just so we can manage things a little bit better. And I'd really like to avoid getting any more angry waterkeeper dwarves in here. That could kind of screw things up. Now, if you look down here, our drink stores are actually pretty poor looking. Food, a little bit better. We actually don't have any farming at all going on here at Stetárgugash, and all of our food and drinks was either made from bee products, honey, or gathered from the surrounding woods. And surprisingly, we managed to get a lot of food just by doing that, and we might still continue to do that for a little while. Although the dwarven caravan should be arriving shortly, and hopefully we could trade for a little bit more. In any event, I'm not too worried about that. Now, if we take a look around the perimeter of this main area, you can see the dwarven bedrooms. They're all fairly large. I tried to keep them around 12 spaces big, just so we could put plenty of engravings and furniture sort of stuff in there. I think that's really going to help their moods. And up above here you can see I made a whole bunch more bedrooms as well. Although with our current population set to 30 dwarves, they're actually going to be unnecessary. So I'm probably going to try to figure out something else to do with these rooms. What I would like to do is to make more temples. We have this one large temple right here, but it's just kind of used for general worship. We're going to want specialized temples to each of the dwarven gods. I heard that that really helps mood as well, so I'm thinking that's something we should really try to do very soon. And normally I would go with sort of a flashy deal with temples, but I don't think I should do that. I'd like to get them set up fairly quickly, just to prevent dwarf craziness. Oh, we're gonna need offices too, and a jail, and a hospital. Whew, boy, yeah, we do got a lot. And if we continue upwards, we can see the very top of the fortress, the open mouth of the pit, surrounded by a wall of jet blocks. I'd say this is a decent form of protection, although I am terrified that things are going to crawl up onto this wall and then either be able to crawl down the side or shoot weapons down at our dwarves. If it happens to be a bowman of some variety, that could be a problem, so eventually I'm planning on putting some traps up here, and I'm thinking cage traps might be nice, and I might even end up putting some down around the bottom of the wall as well. I'm not too sure, yet to be determined. Really, for the most part, we are banking on this trap hall over here. It's a hall filled with wooden spikes that are triggered by pressure plates. And the hope is that any large groups of invaders that come in will start triggering those pressure plates and just get skewered as they try to pass through this hall here. It might be a bit foolish to rest all of our hopes on that, but I think it's gonna work out. Time will tell. Continuing on with our fortress tour, here we have the bottom of the pit with all of our beehives and some workshops as well. Nothing too thrilling there. And if we head down, we could see our meeting hall, as well as a bunch of food storage areas. The meeting hall is fairly well appointed with statues, and plenty of tables and chairs, and the dwarves do consider it to be a legendary dining room, so that's good to go. Underneath that, we do have a couple of levers used to control the trap hall, and if we head northwest from here, we could see our mines, which are coming along. Now that we don't have to make bee products anymore, I'd really like to start making some more metal crafts, weapons, armor, all that sort of stuff. I want to create some real industry here in this fortress, and so we're getting straight to work on that. And after that first mine is dug out completely, we're just going to keep heading downwards. We have already encountered some tetrahedrite here on the map, so we can make things out of copper and a little bit of silver as well, so at least we have that going for us. It's not too thrilling, but it's a start. Now I think that'll about do it for a fortress tour. It really isn't that big of a place. And now that that's out of the way, I'm thinking we should get to know these dwarves a little bit better as well, which might be a foolish thing. Because, as I said, I think things are going to get moving pretty quickly after I finally unpause the game, and it would be a damn shame if we got to know a dwarf, and they died just moments later. But what the hell, I think we should just go for it. We do have some pretty interesting folks here in the fortress. First off, I'd like to introduce our expedition leader, Kruggsmash. He is the dwarf who originally led all of these dwarves here to Stetárgugash, after being approached by the wild boar man Moses, and given gold to do so. And so I have a feeling he's got some pretty big ideas for this place. Either that or he just saw an easy way to get some money. Haven't quite figured it out yet. He seems like a pretty cool guy, often nervous, but he's always grateful when others help him and tries to return favors, likes to live harmoniously with others, doesn't really find most jokes humorous, and he is easily moved to mercy, which is a change after a new romance in 272, because Rith is in a relationship with the next dwarf I'd like to introduce, our fortress's only waxworker, Reg Waxy Musudkal, who to me seems like a fairly moody dwarf. He's kind of a loner, does not reveal personal information, takes offered help and gifts without feeling particularly grateful. He is sometimes cruel, which is a change after suffering a major injury a couple of years ago, and he prefers a chaotic lifestyle over a harmonious one, which is a change after retching on some miasma a couple of years ago. And he's also frequently depressed. You know, I find it a bit strange that both Reg and Rith have such different personalities. Rith seems kind of calm, and just wants the best for his fortress, I would think, and Reg here just kind of seems like a miserable bastard. But hey, you know, opposites attract and all, so maybe it just works for them. Next up, over here by the hives, we could see Lorbam's Stinger Kirinal, who is one of our starting 7 dwarves, as well as the fortress's only clothier. And let me tell you, Lorbam is one feisty dwarf. She's currently on her way to attend a meeting, which means she's most likely on her way to go see Rith, our expedition leader, in order to yell at him. And if we have a look at her recent memories, we can see that she's yelled at somebody in charge, most likely Rith, several times recently. She was given the nickname Stinger for obvious reasons. She is in a constant state of internal rage, and she is deliberately cruel to those unfortunate enough to be subject to her sadism. That is a nasty dwarf. Although that being said, she does find helping others very emotionally rewarding. So maybe she does have kindness somewhere deep down inside. Let's hope so. The next dwarf I'd like to introduce is Zuthan Avazelis, one of our fortress's beekeepers, and again one of our founding dwarves. This here is a dwarf who originally discovered honeybees in this swamp, and recently a bunch of our beekeepers were reassigned to different tasks, but not Zuthan here. She's now one of 2 beekeepers in the fortress, and I think she's going to do a damn fine job at it. Zuthan seems fairly meek to me. She often finds herself changing her mind to agree with others, and also presents herself modestly, but she does also try to return favors, and also acts with compassion, which is great, but to temper all that, she does have a greedy streak, is quick to form negative views about things, and is also quick to anger. So I'm not too sure who this dwarf is exactly. They seem kind of multi-layered. On one hand, meek and compassionate, on the other, kind of a negative character. I guess it might all manifest as sort of a childlike personality. She just still has a little bit of growing up to do, I guess, and that's fine, but you better do it quick, because things are going to get wild here in Stetárgugash. Now, these next couple dwarves I'm going to be introducing are sponsored dwarves, which is something I've done in the past and it worked out really well, I'd say. Now, a sponsored dwarf is a dwarf who is being loosely controlled by a person, which is a real fun challenge for me, and also adds a bit more spice to the fortress. Out here by the brook, we could see our first sponsored dwarf, Lytast Beans Rygothbudam. Now, Beans' original nickname was Beanpole because he is very tall and incredibly skinny. But over time that nickname was just shortened to Beans. He arrived here a couple of years ago, and he was once a citizen of Waterkeeper in the north, which could well be the reason he's so stressed out lately. Overall, Beans seems like a fairly laid-back guy, so I imagine he's hiding his stress well. Let's just hope we can get his mood under control before he goes over the edge. Down here by our trade depot, we have Imush Uzolralush, who is our fortress's only cook, and I'll tell you what, I get a kick out of this dwarf right here. She's another former Waterkeeper dwarf, but that doesn't seem to be getting her down at all. In fact, she often feels filled with joy, which is fantastic. Overall, she's a fairly calm and respectful dwarf, who's also a bit lazy, which is absolutely fine. She is described as being corpulent. Keep rockin', Imush. After Imush, we have our fortress's manager, Kikrost Irontongue Geshudkeshan, yet another Waterkeeper dwarf. Kikrost here just recently received his position of manager because he is very skilled at the task, and overall seems to have a good head on his shoulders, despite being from rough and tumble Waterkeeper. Overall, he seems like a fairly tough dwarf who's quick to anger and just wants to get the job done, but not necessarily perfectly. I could respect it. Additionally, just a little side note here, Kikrost here would just as soon have nature and all of the great outdoors burned to ashes and converted into a great mining pit, which is a sentiment that was strengthened 7 years ago because he got caught in the rain. Maybe a little overboard? But hey, I can respect it. Over here in his bedroom, we can see Id Euristvathsith, a mechanic. Now Id here is yet another Waterkeeper dwarf, and he does have a small family here in the fortress. His wife, who is the chief medical dwarf, and his 2 children, a son and daughter. However, his son does not live here in the fortress. I have to imagine they're still at Waterkeeper, but I'm not too sure on that. Id also is very quick to anger, is sloppy with his living space, and doesn't handle stress well, but he's also very brave, and is truly fulfilled by assisting those in need, which is a change after he became a parent in 274. Another caveat with this guy is that he likes gems, and lately he's been being a real pain, saying that we should have more gems installed in the fortress. Well, we'll see about that, Mr. Euristvath. We have bigger things to attend to at the time being. Moving on. And finally, last on our list of sponsored dwarves is Cole Ukerkal and his clan. Cole is a weaponsmith, and his wife and all 3 children live in the fortress. Now, Cole does not have that much skill in weaponsmithing. In fact, he has no skill whatsoever. But after seeing Usprausnem the other day, that's the wild boar man's artifact axe, it is now his life's mission to master the weaponsmithing skill, and eventually create an artifact weapon to rival Usprausnem. A fine mission if I say so myself, and I believe he's going to make some exquisite weapons. It should be noted too that Cole has a pet guinea cock that is named Moses. I don't know whether or not he named it after the boar man, but it could very well be the case. And while we're still on the subject of Cole, I should also mention his son, Moldath. He's 2 years old and a bit of a troublesome child. He is a dyed-in-the-wool quarreler, and he never misses a chance to lash out in verbal hostility. It looks like he dreams of one day creating a great work of art, even though he tends to like to keep things practical, and he has meager creativity overall. That's going to be quite a challenge, Moldath. But you know what, I bet if you pay attention and start trying to respect your parents more, they can help you along in whatever way you need. We'll just have to see if that actually pans out or not. I guess we'll find out soon enough. Alright, and that's going to do it for introductions. And now that we're more than halfway through the episode, I suppose we should get to work, because there is a lot to do. And I think we're going to start by making a ton of crafts, getting some rooms set up here on the 2nd tier, starting with a hospital, then probably temples and offices, and we're also going to be putting traps up on top of our wall. Alright? That's the plan. And so let's get to it, dwarves. No slacking, we have a ton to get to. We're going to start work on the hospital right away, just because, as I said, there are a few angry dwarves in the fortress, and if there are any tantrums and a dwarf gets injured, we're going to have to see to their health. It's going to be important. It'll be very basic to start, but we're going to put additional amenities in there before long. Oh, would you look here? Straight off the bat we have a dwarf born in the fortress, the daughter of our chief medical dwarf, and Id, our mechanic, the one who's been demanding gems. Well, congratulations you two. Grow up strong, little girl. And on a sour note, over here we see Avaz, another of our mechanics, who has been stricken by melancholy. So, well, she's basically gone insane. She's just depressed and unfortunately will not recover from this. The stress was just too much for her, I guess. It is understandable, I suppose. She was a waterkeeper dwarf, and a few years back her husband was killed there, and it seems like she's just been miserable ever since. It is sad and something you never want to see, especially in a fortress this small, but I guess there's nothing you can do about it. Let's just keep an eye on her, dwarves. Make sure she's comfortable. Oh, and now looking over to the west, we can see that the wagons from Igathmafal have arrived, also known as the Scraped Chambers. That's our dwarven civilization. It has just turned autumn and that's usually when they arrive. Well, that's fantastic news. We'll have to see if we have anything to trade. We could use some extra food and other supplies too. You know, we do have a bunch of these menacing wooden spikes that we were going to put in our trap hall, but I think we might as well just trade them. We could always make more. They're fairly easy to make and trade rather well. Welcome traders to Stetárgugash. Here we can see Rith, our expedition leader, is meeting with the outpost liaison. Ah, good to see you again, Rith. I hope this year's found you well. Now then, let's discuss your situation, because there is much to share. And it does look like they do have some news to share with us, but we'll have a look after the trading. And what requests do you have of our merchants? Well, let's see here. We're going to want to be crafting a lot of stuff in the fortress, so I think we're going to order up a bunch of different, just crafting materials, pretty much. We'll get some leather. We'll keep it fairly simple and just get some bear leather and wolf leather. That's pretty awesome, right? Oh, and I guess that was it. Ugh, I left that screen on accident. I guess we'll just chalk it up to Rith being a little forgetful. Well that's a surprise. I thought for sure you'd want a larger variety. Well, no matter. We have finalized the import agreement. Feel free to go over the documents. Yeah, so I guess we're just importing some leather for next year. Oh, it's a damn shame. But oh well, you'll have to not be so forgetful next time, Rith. Now, let's discuss what we are willing to offer for your craft dwarf ship. Here are the documents. Well, it looks like next year, trading quivers and legwear is going to get the most bang for our buck. But I don't think we're going to be able to manage that, honestly. But, we'll see what happens. We might be able to scrounge something up. Ah, very good. It was a pleasure speaking with you as always, Rith. And remember, our fortunes rise and fall together. A good year to you, my friend. Well, that's unfortunate. I wish we could have asked for more, but just a bit of a slip up there, I guess. Oh well, maybe they brought some good stuff this year. Let's have a look. Yeah, it looks like they have some metal bars here, and we're going to be taking a bunch of those. And we'll take some ropes too, just in case we need them for something. I'm not sure what, but I know we don't have any around. And we'll take some animals, just for the heck of it. And we'll take some drinks, rum, wine, milk to be used for cooking. We'll take some assorted clothing, because some of this seems fairly high quality, and I know the dwarves will like that. And we'll also take a fair bit of cloth too, just so we can start making our own clothing as well. Leather too, for that matter. Oh, and of course we'll get a bunch of food. It's always a good thing to keep a varied diet for your dwarves. And while we're getting down there and how much we could trade for, but I see they do have some books as well, and I think I'll pick up a couple. There we go, and I think that'll about do it. Ugh, wonderful. A fine trade it is. And they do seem pleased, which is great. Not ecstatic, but still, it's not bad. We just ended up trading away a bunch of wooden spikes and wax crafts, so we're really not losing out. Alright, and before we forget, we did receive some news about the world from the Outpost Liaison. Let's have a look. Well, it looks like in the mid-autumn of 275, which was last year, the army of Kruggsmash marched on Standard Worlds. Kruggsmash is the king of our empire, and from what I understand, he also at one point lived in Waterkeeper, but then was actually expelled from the place, made his way to Standard Worlds, and then through sheer tenacity and force of will, became king. Kind of impressive, really. Now, Standard Worlds is the dwarven capital, but a few years back it was conquered by the demon, which is a great travesty. Many lives were lost, and the dwarves have been trying to reclaim the place ever since, to unfortunately no avail. But we're hanging in there, and I have faith that the city will be ours again once more. One day. One day. Now let's have a look around, see if there's any other interesting news. And not really, no. That's fine, that's all the excitement we could take, I think. You know, it just makes you wish you could do something about it. But we're just a small fortress, only 30 dwarves. I think really the best thing we could do is just remain where we are and keep helping maintain our economy. It's not much, but what choice do we have? No matter. Back to work, dwarves. Well, it looks like down in the mines we just hit a fresh vein of tetrahedrite, which is good news. Gives us some copper and a little bit of silver too. And we're going to be using that very soon, I think, because you see Beans over here is actually in a pretty foul mood. And so I want to see if we can improve it by allowing him to create something he likes. He is our armorer, and he does like leggings, and so I'm going to have him whip up a couple pairs of chain leggings, and see if that does the trick. I'm hoping it does, but I'm not too sure. You can see down here in the corner of our mine, there are a couple of metalsmith's forges that we had just placed, so hopefully soon Beans will get straight to work. Here he is, just kind of stumbling around obliviously for the time being. A damn shame. Yeah, the guy's getting pretty close to losing it, and I'm hoping he doesn't. Hang in there, buddy. We're trying to get you taken care of. Oh, and there he goes, came to his senses, and he's off to work. There we go, making his first pair of chain leggings, and completed. And now at least it's saying he's satisfied at work, which is a step in the right direction, and so I think just from time to time I'm going to have him make some leggings. Gonna have to try to stay on top of that. Oh damn it. It's been weeks and that poor melancholic dwarf has finally died. They haven't been eating or drinking anything, and so this was bound to happen. Although the unfortunate thing is that all these other dwarves had to see it, including our chief medical dwarf who's already in a pretty sour mood. That's not good. Come on, somebody take care of this real quick. Alright, there we go. And they're being brought down to our tombs. Well, at least we got her taken care of easy enough. In other news, our chief medical dwarf was just stricken with a fey mood after seeing the dead body of one of her fellow dwarves. Well, that hardly seems like a coincidence. I'm curious to see what she makes. Well, good luck, Mafal. I wish you the best. Ah, and here we are. That was pretty quick, actually. Mafal Okir Ushwir, the chief medical dwarf, has created Morolacast, a sand pear wood bracelet. She claims it as a family heirloom. Let's have a look. Its name translates to page saved, and it is not worth very much at all. This is a sand pear wood bracelet. All craftsmanship is of the highest quality. It is encircled with bands of sand pear wood. This object is adorned with hanging rings of sand pear wood. Yes, and indeed it is fairly plain, made entirely of wood. But you know what, I gotta give you some credit, because you have to remember she made the entire thing with a baby in one arm, and she has been under a great deal of stress lately. She just saw the dead body of one of her fellow dwarves, and so she's still a bit shaken up. Yeah, I definitely give her credit. That is some damn fine work there, Mafal. Good job. And we're going to have to be sure to get that thing stored safely away quickly, because there have been Kias about lately. Damn thieving parrots. They love to take things like this. Pretty dangerous. And on the subject of Kias, we do currently have 2 stuck in cages, victims of the traps that we have placed up on our walls. That's pretty interesting, really. Kias are a huge nuisance, but maybe if we could tame them up and make them pets, That could be pretty interesting for the dwarves. Plus we could potentially use their eggs. That might be pretty cool. I don't know, we'll see what happens. I'm not setting that as a priority. Not at all. Well, time is marching forward, and you can see up here on the second tier that we do have our hospital good to go. There's no well or even traction benches yet, but this should get the job done for now. And then over here next to it, we could see a couple more small rooms, and these are intended to be temples. One of them is just about finished and the other is almost done. They're small, but hopefully we can make them a little bit bigger in the future. But really we're just gonna need basic temples for now. Nothing fancy, as I said earlier. Let's have a look at the date real quick. It's the 22nd of Moonstone, early winter. Starting to get a bit cooler outside, fairly unpleasant. Though I don't recall it snowing at all last year. I'm hoping that's the case again. That's not something we need to deal with. Looking at our food stores, we have plenty of drinks and food. And so we're doing pretty good on that front, definitely. And I see we have a lot of seeds too, that we're not going to be doing anything with. Are those tradable? Can I trade seeds? That is one of the items that the traders were kind of interested in getting from us. Maybe we'll have to trade them all away next year. Might as well, right? Better than just letting them sit around. Or you know, I suppose we could cook them too. That's interesting. Yeah, what the hell, why not? Let's do it. We should be able to make some interesting meals out of those, I would think. I'm not sure if I've ever seen a seed-only meal. Intriguing. Over here we can see our cook, Imush, who is preparing some easy meals as we speak, because she still really isn't a very skilled cook, but she's got that passion. I know she does. And I think right now she's cooking up those seeds. How about we take a look in and see what she's made? I am pretty curious. Well, like here for example, we have some ratweed seed biscuits, which sound very exotic. Let's have a look. This is a stack of 2 ratweed seed biscuits. The ingredients are minced ratweed seeds, as well as minced ratweed seeds. Oh my, that sounds delicious. Well, you know, personally, I've never had ratweed seeds, and so I could not begin to tell you what a ratweed seed biscuit might taste like. A little crunchy, grainy perhaps? I'd have to imagine so. I'm thinking this would make a nice snack or possibly a side dish, but it doesn't really seem like main course material to me. No, but now I got my mind on food. And so let's see if Imush has cooked up any other interesting dishes. Oh, here we are. This is a stack of 31 well-prepared dwarven rum roast. The ingredients are finely minced almonds, well-minced white millet beer, how you would mince a liquid is beyond me, finely minced honeybee royal jelly, and superiorly minced dwarven rum. Very interesting. And so we have 2 different types of alcohol, as well as some royal jelly, which I believe is a bit custard-like, and then there's almonds in here as well. So I'd imagine this as sort of being like a terribly alcoholic porridge, just with ground almonds making up the body of it. A great way to start your day, for a dwarf anyways. Good eating. But still, I'm not sure if this is a main course. Let's keep looking. Oh, here we go. Now this is a main course. Here we have a stack of 20 alpaca cheese roast. The ingredients are minced chopped black mamba liver, minced prepared water buffalo brain, finely minced tapir cheese, and minced alpaca cheese. Wowee, yeah, that's gonna fill your belly. We got some liver in there, water buffalo brains, and then just a whole bunch of cheese mixed in there because everyone loves cheese. I mean, come on. We're dwarves here. Well, you keep at it, Imush. You're doing a great job. Well, you know what? Things in the fortress are going pretty darn well, I'd say. We have kind of a rough start here, but I'm feeling positive about what we learned about managing dwarven stress. I think we're gonna get there. We just have to be patient, hopeful, and a little bit lucky. Now next episode we're going to continue along as we have been, just getting this place straightened up, trying to make our dwarves as happy as possible. We'll try to get all of our temples and offices in place. That's going to be very important. And on top of that, I was talking earlier about that chamber I was going to make, where the dwarves could just go in and start engraving surfaces to help maintain their moods in the downtime. We're going to get started on that too, and I'm thinking over here might be a good spot for it. Just a big shaft that will lead downwards, and possibly upwards too. Maybe we'll make a tower that kind of bursts out of the ground, reaching towards the sky. That'd be really cool. Yeah, we'll have to try something like that. Maybe we can make it into a living space even. For Moses even, the wild boar man. He has helped us out so much, and wouldn't it be cool if we could surprise him like that? And who knows, maybe one day he'll actually live here at our fortress. That would be something. He seems like a real hero. But we're gonna have to hold off on that idea for a bit, I think. We still have a ways to go here in quaint little Stetárgugash. But that's okay, because we're gonna do it. And neither the goblins or our own foul moods can stop us. That much I'll guarantee. Well, you bearded bastards, I really hope you enjoyed this episode. The first in a series? I believe so. And honestly, I'm not sure how long it's gonna last. I'd like to say it'll be a short thing, but you know what? It's okay if it's not. We'll just play it by ear. I thank you for watching, and I do hope you'll join me next time, here in Stetárgugash, Honeystoker. And until then, you bearded bastards,